Divorcing in Pennsylvania? Here's what you need to know. It's a big step, and chances are you've been Googling bits and pieces, trying to figure out timelines, requirements, and what it actually looks like to file. Instead of bouncing around articles, here's everything you need to know in one place so you feel ready when the time comes. Residency requirement. First, before you file, either you or your spouse must have lived in Pennsylvania for at least 6 months. That's the basic residency requirement. Types of divorces in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania law recognizes two main paths to divorce: fault and no fault. No fault divorce is the most common because it's simpler and less combative. There are two types of no fault divorce. Mutual consent, meaning you and your spouse agree the marriage is irretrievably broken. Both of you sign and file affidavits of consent. After filing, there's a 90-day waiting period, and in many cases, the divorce can be finalized without a hearing, meaning no court. 2, separation. If only one spouse wants the divorce and the other does not, you can proceed after living separate and apart for at least 1 year. That usually means living in different households. But in some cases, you can qualify while living under the same roof if your lives are clearly divided. Fault-based divorce. Fault-based divorce is less common today, but still available. Grounds include adultery, desertion for at least a year, cruel or barbarous treatment, bigamy, indignities that make life intolerable, institutionalization for mental illness, or imprisonment for 2 years or more. Fault divorces can sometimes move faster than separation-based divorces, but they require proof and usually have more conflict. So when do you actually need your spouse's consent? Only in mutual consent divorces. In every other path, separation, fault-based, or when your spouse has been convicted of a personal injury crime against you, you can move forward without their agreement. In those crime-related cases, the law presumes consent so you're not held back by their refusal. An attorney helps you choose the right path so you don't waste time waiting for cooperation that you don't need. The divorce process, step by step. Here's how the divorce process works in Pennsylvania and how an attorney helps you through it. Initial consultation and strategy. It starts with sitting down with an attorney. We review your situation, explain your options, whether mutual consent, separation, or fault-based, and then build a strategy that fits your goals. This is also when we talk about urgent issues like temporary custody or support orders. Filing the complaint. Your attorney prepares and files the complaint in divorce with the Court of Common Pleas in your county. This document sets the legal process in motion. Filing it correctly matters. You'd be surprised how many errors occur here and can cause costly delays. Serving your spouse. Once the complaint is filed, your spouse must be served with the paperwork and a notice to defend. If they live in Pennsylvania, service must happen within 30 days. If out of state, within 90. Your attorney makes sure the step is done properly so your case isn't thrown out by a technicality. Waiting periods. For mutual consent cases, the court requires a 90-day waiting period after service. For separation cases, you'll need 1 full year apart. Your attorney keeps track of these timelines and files the right affidavits when the time comes. Negotiation and agreements. During this waiting period, your attorney helps negotiate issues like property division, custody, and support. If you and your spouse can agree, great. Your lawyer drafts the settlement paperwork to submit to the court. Court involvement if needed. If you and your spouse cannot agree, your attorney represents you in the hearings. This is where preparation and strategy matter. From presenting financial evidence to arguing custody arrangements in your child's best interests, it matters. Finalizing the divorce. Once all the issues are resolved, your attorney files the final paperwork. The judge then issues a divorce decree officially ending the marriage. In uncontested cases, this can often be done without you ever stepping foot in a courtroom. In contested cases, your attorney advocates for you in front of the judge until everything is decided by the court. What the court decides. If you're thinking, what am I actually walking away with? What happens to my kids, my money, my house? Here is what the court decides on: property and debt division. Pennsylvania uses a concept called equitable distribution, which means the court decides how to divide marital assets and debts in a way that's fair, but not necessarily equal. Factors include the length of the marriage, each spouse's income and contributions, sacrifices made for the household, age and health, and each person's future earning capacity. Marital property generally includes anything acquired during the marriage: homes, cars, retirement accounts, even debts. Separate property, like inheritances or assets owned before the marriage, usually stays with that spouse. However, they can be entitled to an increase in value. Child custody. Custody decisions are made based on the best interest of the child. Judges consider stability, the child's relationship with each parent, work schedules, school districts, and whether either parent has a history of abuse or neglect. Custody has two parts: physical custody, where the child lives and lays their head at night, and legal custody, who makes major decisions about education, healthcare, and religion. Child support. Pennsylvania follows statewide guidelines that calculate support based on both parents' incomes and custody agreement. The court may also factor in childcare expenses, health insurance, and special needs. Support is enforceable by law, and arrears or back payments can have serious consequences. Spousal support and alimony. Depending on circumstances, one spouse may be ordered to pay support to the other. Pennsylvania recognizes 3 types of support for a spouse. One is called spousal support. That's after separation, but before a divorce is filed. Another is called alimony pendente lite, or APL for short. That's while the divorce case is pending. And then finally, alimony is a post-divorce maintenance. So that is received after the divorce is finalized. The courts consider income, earning ability, length of marriage, standard of living, and contributions to the household as factors for support. Alimony isn't automatic, but when it's awarded, the goal is fairness and stability. Timelines and expectations. Even with the same laws, no 2 divorces move at the exact same pace. Beyond the statutory waiting periods, here are some of the biggest factors that affect how long your divorce case might take. Court schedules. Every county court runs on its own calendar. Some move quickly, normally in more rural areas, and some may be backlogged for months, typically in more urban areas, which can add months of waiting to your case. Level of cooperation. The more willing both spouses are to exchange financial documents, attend mediations, and compromise, typically the faster things move. Resistance or delays in producing records can slow the case down significantly. Temporary orders. If custody, support, or exclusive use of the marital home needs to be decided first and upfront, those motions can stretch out the process before the main divorce even moves forward. Complex assets. Divorces involving businesses, pensions, or investment properties can take more time because assets must be valued, sometimes with outside experts. Appeals or challenges. If one spouse disputes the judge's ruling, the case can continue way beyond the initial divorce decree. That's why it's better to think of the divorce process in ranges. A few months for a straightforward mutual consent divorce, or a year plus for separation or contested cases, and even longer still if complex disputes or appeals arise. Common pitfalls to avoid. People often underestimate how easy it is to run into problems during the divorce. Here are some additional mistakes that can make the process more stressful and expensive. Moving too quickly. It might sound counterintuitive, but if you move too fast and rush into settlement agreements, especially that aren't fair, without fully understanding the consequences like tax implications or retirement, you're hurting yourself. Informal deals. Making side deals or outside agreements with your spouse without legal review can sometimes backfire because they're unenforceable or not equitable. Ignoring temporary finances. Forgetting that bills, mortgages, and childcare costs still need to be paid while the divorce is pending, or falling behind can hurt your credit and be held against you in court. Social media missteps. Posting about new relationships, vacations, money, or parenting disputes is a big no-no. Judges and opposing attorneys often use social media as evidence against you. Assuming things will work themselves out, hoping your spouse will be fair without putting agreements in writing. Courts only enforce signed approved orders, not verbal promises. An attorney not only handles the legal filings, but also helps you avoid these hidden traps, protecting your financial future and your credibility in court. Divorce in Pennsylvania is never easy, but understanding the rules takes away so much of the fear. The right attorney can protect your assets, guide you through the process, and give you the confidence that nothing has been overlooked. If you're ready to take the next step, we're here to guide you. At Petrelli Previtera, we've handled everything from filing paperwork and meeting deadlines to negotiating tough custody and support agreements, to also protecting your finances and your future. Our goal is to take some of the weight off your shoulders so you can focus on healing and moving forward to a better future. You don't have to go through this alone. Contact us today for a consultation and let's build a plan that helps you move through this difficult time with clarity, confidence, and peace of mind.